Hola amigos y bienvenidos de nuevo. Espero que todos estén súper bien el día de hoy. Y vamos a empezar. Today's lesson we're going to be looking at los sustantivos femeninos, whereas our last lesson we looked at los sustantivos masculinos. So just a refresher here. For our masculine singular nouns, we saw that they took the definite article el. This is for masculine, mask for short, and singular, sing for short, nouns or sustantivos. Okay. We also learned that the majority of our masculine nouns ended in la letra O. Not all of them, as we did see some exceptions, but the best guiding principle was the majority that you see ending in la letra O is a pretty good indicator that you're dealing with a masculine noun. All right, so that being said, we're going to look at los sustantivos femeninos, like I said. So instead of el, it tells us that the feminine singular noun takes a definite article, la, and that most sustantivos end in la letra a. So we do see a few examples down here. We see la amiga, whereas our last one that we saw for our male friend, we had el amigo. Notice how, again, it's that person. So the article indicated we were talking about a male person, and that O had to match, right? We see the exact same thing here. If I want to talk about my female friend, I change that article to la to signify it's a she, and I follow through with that ending a. All right, next we have la comida, which is a very important word. It means food. And then we have la iglesia, which means church. Okay. So we get a little lucky when it comes to our feminine nouns because they have some more concrete rules than our masculine ones. It tells us that any sustantivo that ends in these letter combinations, these suffixes, will always be feminine. So we see sion, dad, or tud. Anytime you see these guys, you know that that noun is going to be feminine. So we've got a few examples here, algunos ejemplos. We have la canción. Notice that suffix. This is song. We have la conversación. It's another handy cognate for us. It means conversation, as some of you guys may have guessed. And then we have la lección, which is another close cognate. It means lesson. So, just as we saw with our masculine nouns, our feminine nouns also have a few exceptions. So, although the majority of them do end in A, there are going to be some that actually end in O. So, here we have algunos ejemplos. And we're lucky in that there's not that many, but they're important to remember all the same. The first one that we see is la foto, which means photo, good cognate. We have la mano, which is hand. And then we have la radio, which, you guessed it, is radio. So something that I actually learned not too long ago is that just as in English, as we abbreviate the word photograph for photo, Spanish speakers also did the same with la foto. The original word is la fotografía. Notice how that word naturally ends in A, but they shortened it, they took the abbreviation, leaving only foto. So the noun itself never changed. To me, I thought that was kind of cool, and I have an easier time remembering that it is actually a feminine noun in the first place. Same thing happened with radio. It used to be, or rather, it still is, just not said as often, is la radiografía. And again, they just took off that ending, gave it an abbreviation, and now we have la radio. Pretty cool. All right. So there are some feminine nouns that don't follow these patterns, right? They're either ending in the vowel E or they're ending in a consonant. So we see algunos ejemplos here. We have la clase, another great cognate, guys. This is class. we have la flor, which is flower, and we have la mujer, which is a woman. So just as before, there really isn't a good answer or rhyme or reason as to why some nouns are considered feminine and some are considered masculine. It just shows that the more you practice and the more you use them, the much easier time you'll have in remembering. Okay, so a couple more things I want to chat about. This being that any nouns ending in the word, or the suffix rather, ista or nte, can be either masculine or feminine. So this only applies when you are talking about a real person. So any noun that has its own gender, like let's take for instance, we had la radio. I can't make this into a masculine noun. I cannot call it el radio. No, just can't do it. It's its own noun, which means it has its own gender. So what I'm talking about here in this slide is people who have their own gender in which we refer to them. So this is what I mean. Down here, under algunos ejemplos, we see the same word. We see artista and artista. But we notice that in the beginning, it's that article that's the difference. So in the first example, we have el artista. This means I'm talking about the male artist. Because of this, the singular definite article el. So on the flip side, down below, we see la artista. And this definite article la, is telling me that I'm talking about a female artist. In neither of these examples did the word artista ever change. This didn't become artisto, and this didn't stay artista for that reason. So this is why our definite articles are really important to know. We see another example over here, and we'll actually work a lot with this one as it's on our vocabulary. But it's the word estudiante. Estudiante, another cognate for us. It simply means student. But if I want to talk about a male student in my class, I'm going to refer to him as el estudiante. That definite article shows me masculine. Just like if I wanted to talk about a female student, I would say la estudiante. This definite article tells me female. All right, so for the last part of this exercise, I want you guys to get out your own sheet of paper and go ahead and write down each word that I have up here on my board too. Now, pause the video in just a minute. I want you to put in what definite article you think is going to go in front of each of these nouns. You can try it once without your notes, and then if you need to check back on them, you're more than welcome to. But once you're ready, hit play, and I'm going to go ahead and go through what our definite articles should be and the meaning of these words too. All right, so here we go, my friends. The first word up here I have is amigo. I see that it's ending in O, and I remember it means friend. I'm talking about my male friend, so I should have el amigo. Good. For my next word, we have mesa. Now, I don't know what that means maybe, but I do see that it has that A ending. So that tells me it's probably going to be a feminine singular noun. So I have la mesa, which means table. All right, my next noun is libro. This means book, by the way, and I do see that it ends in O. So if you put el in front of it, you are right. El libro, or book. Okay. So for my next one here, I see estudiante, and it has that nte ending here. It means I'm talking about a person. But because it's female, in order to make estudiante feminine, I have to add in the definite article la. For my next word, we have computadora. I think it's a pretty clear cognate for us. It does mean computer, and it ends in A, so I'm going with la. All right, so my next one here, clase. This one's a little tricky, I guess, because it's not ending in O and it's not ending in A, just la letra I. I have to think back to our lesson here and just kind of remember this one. Clase, if we look back at our notes, is feminine here, la clase. Next, I have bolígrafo, which is a super long word for pen. It's ending in O here, and if you put el, you are right. It is a masculine noun. Next, I see dia. Right off the bat, I see that A ending. So naturally, I might want to put la in front of it. But if I look back in my notes, I would remember that dia is actually a masculine noun. El dia. And finally, my last one here, puerta. It does end in A, and I'm lucky here because this does indicate a feminine noun. So we have la puerta, which is door. All right, ya es todo, amigos. Thank you guys so much. If you have questions, feel free to write me, and I'll talk to you guys later then. Adios.